Let's welcome in somebody I've known for a long time, the founder and CEO of Top Rank Boxing, Bob Arum, a legendary figure, the last man standing. There are so many things that are fascinating. I've told my audience for an hour. You're a walking encyclopedia of law, of boxing, and of figures, some mythical, some not. I want to start this. People may not know that a young person listening, you were a highly successful attorney. You gave up your law career. Why? To be a boxing promoter.
Well, Jim Brown, who I met, the great football player, introduced me to Ali, and without ever having seen a boxing match, in 1966, I promoted a heavyweight championship between Muhammad Ali and George Chuvalo. Now, that started out as Ali and Terrell. We got kicked out of the country because Ali said he wouldn't go into the Army after they reclassified him. We ended up in Montreal. We got thrown out of Montreal. We finally arrived in Toronto because the co-owner of the Maple Leafs and the Maple Leaf Gardens, the hockey people, told me to come in and we would do a fight. Terrell pulled out of the fight because everybody was on percentage and the American Legion was boycotting or striking the closed circuit locations. Chuvalo came in, and Connie Smythe, from the Smythe, whatever division.
Smythe division?
Yeah, he said, I don't want that draft dodger in my building. And it wasn't even their war, right? And Harold Ballard, great man, bought out Smythe from the team and the arena in order for that fight to happen.
How is Ali, now, just list right now, just give me a list of 10 guys you have promoted and have had relationships with. Ali, give me 10 of them. Your biggest clients. Oscar?
Well, no, let's go back. Let's go in order. I would certainly say Muhammad Ali. I mean, after him, everybody was sort of... I think next was Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Amazing guy. And I did a lot of fights for Sugar Ray Leonard, another amazing guy.
Yeah.
And Thomas Hitman Hearns.
Oh, my God.
And you were in Vegas
I was there. I was covering all those fights.
We had Roberto Duran. Right. In that period, we had Alexis Arguello, the late Alexis Arguello, great fighter. Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
What separated Ali? Did you know he was just special? Like, was it the brain, the movement? Did you know instantly? Wow.
You understand, I was a lawyer. I had no background in promotion. When I started promoting Ali's fights, people would come to me and say, that was brilliant what you did. That stunt was wonderful. And it wasn't mine. It was Ali. He was the guy. I was promoting him, but he was teaching me. Ali was the greatest promoter and one of the most generous people, certainly among the bravest people I've ever met.
When you walked, Bob Arum, and you were in a social setting, you're going to dinner, you're at the airport, and you were with Ali. I've been around Bo Jackson briefly in his prime. He was remarkably popular. What was it like to travel with Ali?
The problem with Ali is he was so generous that when we'd get in an airport, in those days you flew commercial, and wait for a plane, there'd be thousands of people. And when we tried to get the security guys to push the people away,
he wouldn't let it.
He wouldn't let them. He wanted it. Thank God we didn't have cell phones then. Cell phones now drive people crazy. Everybody wants to take your picture. Half the people don't know how to work the phones, right? In those bygone days,
the halcyon days,
it was all autographs.
Was your life ever threatened because you supported a man that was controversial, would not support our cause? Did you ever feel your life was in danger supporting Ali?
No, I never felt my life was in danger. But I became a pariah. Everybody, in those days, people say, well, the Vietnam War, everybody was against it. Wrong. 1965, 1966, 95% plus of Americans were in favor of that war. Nobody ever at that point criticized the U.S. for taking any kind of military action. And I was a pariah, but I could live with that. But I had parents who came, middle-class parents, whose neighbors wouldn't talk to them because their son was a traitor.
That is remarkable. Bob Arum, founder, CEO of Top Rank Boxing, who I covered for years. In fact, this is not to be self-serving, but there was no internet. There was no massive cable TV. Back in those days, I was a pimply-faced goofball, but you kind of needed me to promote your fights, right?
Right. It was the television, radio, and the press. Now, let me tell you a story of my first promotion when I'm in Toronto. In the press room was actually a suite in the hotel.
Sure.
And in those days, you put card tables because the press loved to play poker. So the first time I'm playing with the press, I win. So my PR guy gets out there and he says, "You're an idiot." I said, "Why am I an idiot? I won." He says, "That's the point. You're not supposed to win from the press."
That is great. Bob Arum joining us. So let me now, let's segue. You're wildly popular. Of the two promoters, I always considered you more ethical. I mean, you always had the legendary quote, "Yesterday I was lying, today I'm telling the truth."
Read Kevin Ioli's article about how that happened.
How did it happen?
Oh, it's a great story. I'm promoting a fight with Sugar Ray Leonard in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Winter, snowing. We're all in the bar. The press, everybody, bar drinking like
You bought
mad.
a lot of drinks.
Right. The argument is, who's a better fighter, A or B? Everybody's drunk. I said A. The next night, snow, you can't get out of the hotel, sitting around drinking again, everybody's drunk. Who's the best fighter? I say B. So they said to me, yesterday you said A, today you say B. So like a wise guy, I said, yesterday I was lying, today I'm telling the truth.
Funny line.
And they wrote it up as a joke. They originally wrote it up. And then a guy writing for the New York Times 2 years later put it in as being like a mantra for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Which it wasn't. It was a vodka comment.
Right. Well, it was, every time I testified in court, the lawyer would say, "Didn't you say yesterday I was lying, tell you the truth?" I'd have to tell the story. And I said, "But I've learned one thing from that incident."
What?
That's what the lawyer asked. And I said to him, "Never have drinks with the press."
Bob Arum, CEO and founder of Top Rank Boxing. So you have this magical career, and there's some cultural changes, and there's a new business, and it's called UFC. And like you, they take some of the genius of boxing, it's promoting in press conferences and wild celebrities. And initially, when the UFC came up, and Dana White, did you like him?
No question to like him. I greatly admire the Fertittas who formed it because they did a great job building an organization. But I really, and maybe it's the generation,
Sure.
I really don't like UFC.
That's okay.
I don't like to watch it, and you look at their fan base, you look at our fan base.
Yeah.
I'm proud of our fan base in boxing. I think very fair, the UFC fan base is mostly Trump supporters. My fan base for boxing, Hillary, Bernie, maybe some John Kasich.
How did you make this political?
Well, it is political. Everything is political.
Let me ask you about Donald Trump. You don't have a great relationship with him. I've said before, I don't know Donald Trump. I don't think his temperament is fit for the presidency. I will say this, and I don't consider it a political statement. I think there's a certain graciousness and dignity and IQ that our current president has. Whether or not I was liberal or conservative, Trump worries me, his temperament. You have known Trump forever.
Right. I'll tell you a story of a major fight where I dealt with Trump, where
Atlantic City?
in Atlantic City, and where typical Donald Trump, he screwed me and my co-promoter. And if you want to hear the story, I'm happy to tell it.
Tell it.
Okay. This is back in the early 90s. And the big fight is George Foreman, who had knocked out Cooney, and Evander Holyfield, who was the heavyweight champion of the world. Two entities are bidding for the fight, Caesar's Palace, Terry Lanny at the time,
Yeah.
bids $11 million. Trump for Atlantic City bids $11.5 million.
All right.
I tell the promoter for Holyfield, late Dan Duva, let's go with Caesars. They're reliable. Trump's not reliable. No, for the extra $500,000, we go with Donald Trump, right? And about 2 weeks after we have the first press conference, the first Gulf War breaks out, right? And now about 8 more weeks go by, and there's about 8 days left before the fight is to take place, where Dan Duva and I get faxes, because there was no internet, faxes from Trump's office. Contract is over, terminated, act of war. So I take the fax. I thought he was making a joke. I have a press conference, and I said, it's not an act of war unless Saddam Hussein lands troops on the beaches of Atlantic City. Right. Everybody got a big laugh. Trump was serious. Now we have nowhere to go. We're going to do amazing numbers in pay-per-view. First big pay-per-view fight. We did over 10% of the pay-per-view homes available. We had no other choice. So now he chisels us. He says, well, I'm not paying you $11.5 million. You can keep what's in the gate. I'll give you another $1 million. I'll pay for the rooms. I'll pay for the arena, etc. So when we totaled up everything, and we agreed because we had no choice, we totaled up everything afterwards, he had cheated us out of $2.5 million. He's a bad, bad person. And we cannot allow anybody like this man to represent a great country like the United States.
All right, Bob Arum joining us, founder, CEO of Top Rank Boxing. Now I want to segue into something that is, I didn't know until this morning. You survived a plane crash.
Right.
A guy I know, Kevin Ioli, was in the plane.
Right.
You used to take me around. I don't think I was ever with you, but I went to Bruno Tyson. It used to be private jets, Christine, where there would be a private jet, because we were very vital back then to promoting a fight. I can remember being on a couple private jets. I don't go on those much. You do. So tell our audience, I just learned this morning, about being a plane crash survivor, please.
Okay. Oscar De La Hoya was training for a fight against Fernando Vargas.
Up in the hills?
Up in Big Bear, right. And so I rented a plane from a company in Las Vegas to fly about 6 of us up to Big Bear
for the training.
For Media Day.
Sure.
And among those I invited were Kevin Ioli,
know him,
and Royce Fior, who was the boxing writer.
Wonderful man.
Wonderful man. All right, the plane takes off, and as we're coming into Big Bear, the pilots, I guess they weren't experienced, missed the runway. And because he knows he's missing the runway, pulls the brakes, fire starts in the wing. We land in a bed, thank God.
Goes off the runway.
Off the runway in a lake bed that had no water, and the plane bounces.
Bang,
By
bang,
that
bang.
time, it's enveloped in fire. The pilots sit there, they're panicked. I get the door open, I get everybody out, right? Now, when I got out, the whole entrance was filled with fire. So I seen movies, run out, roll around on the ground, and the flames would go out. So I run through the fire, and I get out. I start laughing, because if you run through the fire, your clothes don't catch.
Right.
So I didn't have to roll around on the ground. But then I see this plane enveloped in fire. Royce Fior's laying on the ground. I get everybody up. We start running from the plane.
What happens to the plane?
And blew up.
Oh, my God.
I mean, you can see pictures of it. So now, all over the world, there are shots, promoters, plane crashes, and they showed us the skeleton of the plane. So people are sending condolences to my family that we knew Bob, we liked Bob. Too bad he's dead.
It's kind of nice,
but I
actually.
wasn't.
My God. We're running out of time here quickly. The key to your longevity. Don't be humble. The key to you're the last guy standing. The key to your longevity.
Well, the key to longevity is to enjoy what you're doing and to really, I really relate to the fighters that I promote, to the young kids coming up, like the No Trump undercard on April 9th.
With Latino
Three
fighters.
great young Hispanic fighters, one fighting for a world title, will be fighting on that card. Manny Pacquiao, I love dearly. He'll be fighting Tim Bradley. Should be a great, great fight. I enjoy this because I enjoy the people I'm promoting.
Don King, how bad did it get?
It got pretty bad, but, you could always make a deal with King. And once we made a deal and did a fight, King was a good partner.
He kept his word.
He was a good partner. Not only kept his word, but, he didn't want to be bothered with the nuts and bolts of a promotion.
But your attorney background, you did.
Yeah, right. So he let me handle that, and he would show up at press conferences and talk for an hour. That's what he loved.
So if Trump and Donald King ran for president, you would vote for King?
I would vote for anybody over Trump.
Okay,
I really would.
Now, I'm just going to get in trouble here. All right, let's hear it for Bob Arum. Is this great or what? That was 15 minutes of life. I got a plane crash. I got Ali. I got Don King. I got Trump bashing back in a second in L.A. It's The Herd.